Welcome to episode 2 of the TargetSlam Tennis Podcast. In this week's episode, I'm joined by my good friend and fellow tennis coach Gregor Brydon from Open Scotland. In this episode, we discuss Gregor's time living and coaching out in USA at the Newcombe Tennis Ranch, and we also discuss his time at Stirling University, where he was part of the tennis squad and the Barmy Army, which is the GB Davis Cup cheering squad. So I hope you enjoy.
Hello.
Hello, Gregor. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, there we go.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Wow, you look very clear on your camera. My camera's very shaky.
Yeah, it's my new iPad I got for Christmas.
Oh, new technology. Well, good to see you.
Performance, huh?
Yeah, very high performance. Good to see you. Well, I thought a good way for us to get started with this podcast, seeing as we are both tennis coaches. I'm not sure if you've been on Instagram lately or not, but all over the Instagram, there are like videos of tennis players who've flown out to Australia for the Australian Open.
Of course.
And they need to quarantine for like 2 weeks before they're allowed to go out because of COVID. And they're all doing like mad training regimes from the hotel bedrooms. So obviously they don't have a tennis court. You see some of them doing like footwork, little drills on a cone, or some people doing volleys against the bedroom window and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wondered what your like thoughts on that are, and if you think that is going to impact how they perform at the Australian Open.
Well, it's I mean, we've all been going through the same kind of lockdown, you know. I personally haven't been doing the whole practice of the tennis, unfortunately. Although I do need to do your challenge you gave me just the other week.
The push.
I still got to try and beat the pancake challenge. Yeah.
The pancake. Oh, the pancake or the push. Oh, the pancake challenge.
Pancake. Yeah. I've got to get on that. But
I think the record on that one might be 30. I think I got 30. No. I got 76, and the record is 78. Which I think one of my former students, Jay Hemmings, has the record on that one.
That's right.
So I guess you could say he did get the record, but I taught him. So in theory, you have the record.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of adds up, you know.
Yeah.
Like you have the total.
Yeah. Just so the listeners have got a little bit of context, so we're not waffling on. On Instagram, I tagged Gregor in a challenge. So you've got to do pancake flipovers. That's where you hit the ball on one side of your strings and hit it on the other side of your strings without the ball bouncing. And I think you've got to see how many you can get in 30 seconds.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But going back to your initial question.
Australian Open, yeah.
No, I feel like they're doing their best in the situation that they're dealing with, you know. I did see, I believe someone got fined for practicing volleys against the window and cracking the window.
Oh,
it might have been Bencic, I'm not sure. But who knows?
They got fined. Wait, did they get fined, Greg, or did they have to pay for the new window? Like, which was it?
I don't know. Maybe a fine, maybe a full payment.
Yeah.
But it's a tough one to call because obviously there's those who aren't quarantining, those who got through fine, and it's quite a high number, I think, that's in the quarantine itself, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, every time I go on Instagram, there's a new player doing a training thing from the hotel bedroom. And then also I click on Instagram and I see like players who are out in Australia already, either because they're from Australia or because they must have arrived early and avoided the quarantine, who are like out on the practice courts, you know, hitting loads of balls. So, you know, at the start of the competition, could we see like a few upsets because players have not been getting the usual spot practice?
I think, I mean, it's 14 days of being inside a room by yourself without actually getting proper practice. So you could see some rusty tennis, I reckon, when you first get on the court.
Yeah, you definitely could. Yeah.
Because the thing is, you've got players like Djokovic, who he isn't quarantining. He was fine to get through. And you know that guy, he's always...
Did he go early or did he...
No, so the reason for the quarantine is because there was a few flights who had numbers of cases, and that's the only reason for the quarantine itself.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's only a specific number of people who have been caught up in the quarantine.
Okay. I thought literally everyone who went in had to quarantine.
No. It's due to I think there were 3 cases of positive COVID tests. So those flights, the whole flights had to quarantine.
Okay. Right, Gregor. Predictions for the Australian Open this year. Who do you think is going to win it?
It's a tough one to say. On the men's side, firstly, you've obviously got Dominic Thiem, who's just come off his maiden victory at the US Open. So it's hard to pass him up for a chance, being on hard court once again. But, I mean, you can't rule out Djokovic. The guy just seems to love it in Australia. And he's really pushing to get to the next level. You know, he's trying to pass Nadal and Fed. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but what an athlete, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think Djokovic will win the men's side this year. I think he probably would have won the US if he didn't, smack the tennis ball at randoms. But slightly controversial, but I think Djokovic is going to go on to have the most Grand Slams in men's tennis.
That's a good statement.
Because is he on 17? Am I right in saying that?
I think it is 17. Yeah, because he was only 2 behind Nadal before Nadal managed to get to the 20. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and Nadal and Federer are both on 20 now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So Federer, I don't want to say finish because he could come back and win another Grand Slam. I'm not going to say that. But if he does come back and win another, I think Wimbledon is probably Federer's best bet. You know, he's getting older. His style of tennis does lend itself to faster surfaces, i.e. grass, Wimbledon. So that's probably Federer's best chance at winning another slam. And Nadal, King of Clay, is probably going to win. I don't know how many more French Open. But I just think Djokovic, except the French Open, has got a good chance when he goes into all 3. And he is only 3 Grand Slams behind them.
Yeah. And he is the youngest as well.
He's the youngest. So, yeah, I think he's going to do it, I mean, he's not my favourite of the 3. He's probably my least favourite. But, I think he will go on to have that GOAT status.
Yeah, it's true. Because he's always had that. He's always been wanting to achieve what Nadal and Federer have. Because they're loved by all. They've always been that way. It's like kind of the almost bromance between the two, And then he's just been that other guy who's been on the side.
Yeah, he's the third wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got a little love relationship, and Djokovic is just hanging out on the side as the third wheel. Right, what about on the women's side?
Well, like I said, on the men's side, you had Thiem, who just came off a victory. Osaka, again, great championship the whole way through. I think she's, again, just coming into her own. And there are obviously lots of women out there who are constantly fighting for the top spot. But she just seems to have something else, I think. And for a long, long time, she could be at the top of the game, winning countless slams, I reckon. What about yourself?
She is class. I agree with you. I also think Osaka's going to win it. She is very, very good. And she just seems to hit such a heavy ball, like compared to the other women on the tour. She just seems to hit such a heavy ball, especially off a forehand. Like her forehand is mega, massive serve as well. So Osaka, maybe Barty as well though.
Yeah, you can't rule her out. It's Australia,
Yeah, Ash Barty. Yeah, home favourite as well. She'll have. Well, I was about to say she'll have the fans on the side, but she'll have the the people on the iPads if they do a virtual audience.
Did you see that at the US Open?
Did they do that? Yeah.
Where they had like all the random screens of faces of fans. Like that was what the US Open was.
Like electric screens or actual?
Like it was a massive TV screen and it had all the different faces of people watching and celebrating. It was quite weird.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait till we're allowed to actually go back into a stadium properly again. If it's possible, Gregor, we should definitely go to Wimbledon this year. If it is possible,
you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're feeling up to, we can play, but definitely go as a fan and watch it if we're allowed to.
Oh, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speculate as to whether it'll be possible by then, but if possible, we need to go. We have to go.
Yeah.
So, Gregor, little question for you. Who's the best doubles partner you've ever had in your tennis career?
Oh, jeez. I mean, there's not even a competition to say who's the best. It was clearly yourself.
Ah, what a moment! What a
I mean,
moment!
what year was that? 2017?
Was it 2017? Or was it? It was a few years back. Yeah, it was either 2017 or 2018. It was the year that I brought, because just for the listeners at home, Gregor lives in Oban, Scotland. They host a big, famous tennis tournament there every year called the West Highland Tennis Championships. So it's the local club that Gregor is coaching at right now. And I brought a team of tennis players along. There was 10 Scousers that went along and played in the tournament. And Gregor and I thought we'd make a guest appearance in men's doubles. And I'm with you. You were my favourite doubles partner, of all time. And I would say what we lacked in tennis ability, we definitely made up for in humour.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
There was
a lot of balls that went right down the middle where we were both saying yours and no one touched it.
I feel like since then we've both improved on our doubles communication. Yeah, I mean, it needed a lot of improvement, but we have done so.
Yes, absolutely. I've now picked a partner that when I say yours, they actually run for the ball rather than us both stare at each other blindly. And no, all jokes aside, it is a brilliant tournament, and it's actually where you and I first met. Obviously, we've probably spent most of our time hanging out in America, in USA, specifically at the Newcombe Tennis Ranch, where we both spent time working. I spent probably about 2 years in total working out there between, being an intern there and doing summer camp counselors there. And you've been there for probably 3-4 years, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've done different stints similar to yourself. But I did summer of 14 and then did what you did and did an internship as well the year after you. And then I went back again for a traineeship, just finished up in March of 2020.
So when you went back the last time, you were like, just so everybody knows, this Newcombe Tennis Ranch, it's a pretty big complex and a big facility, and they run, it's like, how many tennis courts? 32 tennis courts, yeah.
There's a half court. I think it's 32 and a half, or maybe 31 and a half. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, because they have that singles court and the tennis wall. Yeah. And they have all different sorts of programs. So they have, I think it's the number one, I might be misquoted there, I think it's the number one tennis camp, summer tennis camp in USA. Is that right?
Let's go with that. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. It could be. I might be pulling that statistic out of thin air. So it's got a really amazing summer camp. And then they also have a year-round academy where players train. And I think a very high amount of them players go on to play college tennis as well, don't they?
Yeah, it's. I think they have a 99% success rate for college scholarships.
Jeez.
So you'll take that stat any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, 99% is not a bad score at all. And I think in the past they've had some brilliant players there. They've had Lee Naugh trained there. She won the Australian Open
for a period of time. Yeah.
Leighton Hewitt. Did he train there?
He did when he was young for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah. I would just fact check all my facts as we go along here, Gregor, because I'm saying these with a confused face.
There's definitely been Hewitt and Lee Naugh for singles. Obviously, there were the Harrison brothers.
Oh yeah.
Ryan and Christian. Christian's had a good few titles this year, or I think that's right. He's done really well.
He has. He was because he was definitely on the rise, and then I think he's been battling against injury for a while. And and then this year, I think, last year he returned to playing tournaments, and I think his ranking has just been going up and up and up. So they've got loads of high quality players there, and then also probably you and I worked a little bit on the academy, but where we spent most of our time was on the adult tennis program, which it's a little bit different to British culture. So people go on tennis holidays. They go there for either a week-long program or they go there for a weekend. and we basically hang out with them. We coach them tennis all week. We have meals with them, you know, go to the bar with them and have a bacon butty with them. We we do all sorts of good fun stuff. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your last time you were there, like your experiences and what you were doing when you were directing.
Yeah, so I went over in 2018, and I was on a 1.5-year visa, and I went over just as a ranch pro, as they would call us, and I was working under those who were in charge, those directors for the programs, and over time gained more experience and used my experience in the past the past year that I was over there to kind of grow in confidence, and from that an opening came to me in the spring of 2019 to be a director for the adult program as well as for the summer camp. So yeah, with that I was running the program alongside our good friend Adrian out in Newcombe Teriyaki, Ninja Warrior. And yeah, we ran the program with a great team and did exactly as you said. We had the weekend programs, which huge numbers. I mean, we were coaching 100, 150 people sometimes on a weekend.
Insane.
You know,
it was insane numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very intense as well. I mean, you're on court, and it's not for the faint-hearted. You know, well, it depends. It depends which way you look at it. It depends which group comes along as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you have a great time. You work extremely hard.
Yeah, and since you've been back to Scotland, which you came back in because of the COVID pandemic. You had to come back a little bit early from your visa. Yeah. And you've been coaching pretty much a regular. When I say regular, I'm not the coaching adult holiday tennis is not regular, but for us it's quite an obscure thing. So you've been coaching like a regular program at a regular club. What are the big differences between coaching holiday tennis and someone that you would see like on a weekly basis for private lessons or groups? What are the big differences?
That's a good question. Firstly, the biggest difference with holiday tennis and what I do is the weather.
Yeah.
You know, the west coast of Scotland, you're expecting sleet, rain, snow, whatever it might be, you're just going to play in it. But you look at a holiday or a weekend or a week-long program, and it's a completely different approach to someone you would meet and see on a weekly basis. You've got to think, I'm giving this person as much information in such a short period of time. And it's almost at times it might be information overload. Yeah. And you make that point clear at the beginning of the week or the weekend. You say, look, we're here and we're going to give you this information. And maybe don't think about taking it all in because it's just going to completely mess with your mind. But you put it out there for people to kind of pick pieces of and hopefully take into their own game, you know.
I think that's one of the big things as well, because I've been back from Texas now for 5 years and running my own business.
Is that how long it's been? 5 years?
5 years, yeah. I left in August of 2015 was when I left. I think as I was leaving, you were coming and we were doing like a little switch situation. Right. Yeah, and
I saw you in the airport, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that was me waving in the distance. And one of the things since I've been back is, as you say, when you see a player every session, you maybe give them 2 or 3 bits of information across a whole lesson, and you say that same bit of information a million different ways, and you give analogies and you draw pictures for them, mental pictures for them at least, so they can understand what they're learning. And you're not overly worried about it because you'll probably see them, 2-3 times a week for the next, I don't know how many years. When you're going on holiday, you're coming in and seeing them, you've got to first of all build a relationship with them pretty fast. Because as you know, like the coaching relationship, in order for you to listen to me as a tennis coach, we need to get along well, and you need to trust me, and we need to have a good rapport essentially. And you've got to pretty much build up that rapport pretty fast. And you've also got to be able to give them a lot of information in a short amount of time. So I would definitely agree with you. That's one of the big differences between the
you put it perfectly there. It's that the initial moment where you've got a group of 150 people and you're like, how do I manage to get to know everyone and get a connection with everyone? But by the end of the weekend, you know pretty much everyone. You know, like, all the names somehow. Like, your mind just gets most of the names in. Whereas on a person that you coach consistently, I mean, that's just one person. But you know
never
them.
ever remember the name, do you? That person you see every week. No, I'm joking. Sorry,
Come on, Tiger. Come on, Tiger.
Come on, sport. Yeah. No, I'm joking. We always remember the names. Sorry, I interrupted you there, Gregor. You carry on with your.
No, I mean, it's just the kind of the way it was, and I personally, I really enjoyed that out in the States, out in Texas, and it was quite a change coming home. I was doing more kids coaching. It's just the way it kind of works here in Oban, because there isn't the biggest club. It's really not the biggest club, unfortunately, and it's just lucky we have lots of other sports. But what we do have within the club, it's a good atmosphere, a good kind of family vibe. So everyone gives off the best that they can, and we have a good time with it.
One of the big things for me, just on the Nuke situation, was it was almost, it felt like when I'd been coaching in England before I ever went to Nukes. I studied sport at university, and coaching was part of my degree. And also I was coaching at my local club, Palmerston, at the time. So I was quite familiar with, coaching, and still very early on in my coaching career. I was only 18, so it was nearly 10 years ago now. And it was almost like a perspective switch for me when I first went out there, because at least the tennis that I've been around was always quite serious. And, instruction was quite full on, and it felt not like it was life or death, but it did feel it was very serious every time you were stepping onto the tennis court. And then as soon as I arrived there, it felt almost like a different sort of vibe. There was almost like a fun vibe and a team vibe. Yeah. If you made a mistake, it wasn't necessarily, the end of the world where somebody's going to come over and give you a full analysis and breakdown why you hit the bottom of the net. It was, they come over and say a little joke and make you laugh, and then carry on and maybe tell you a theme once you make that mistake 5 times.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is far more of a fun experience, I think, for both of us, because our backgrounds are somewhat similar in that sense. Like, you came from a reasonably small club within Liverpool. I came from here, and yeah, at the time, I didn't really have much coaching in the background. There wasn't the biggest kind of tennis community at that point. So I left that and then went over to what was this massive ball of energy in the middle of New Braunfels, Texas. It's and it was during a summer camp, so there's hundreds of kids there. I walk in, I'm like, what the heck is this? Where's this coming from? And it's all fun. There was music, there were events going on, it's all of this. And it's like, wow, this for a kid would just be fantastic,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like a little story for you, Gregor. This kind of hit me right away when I first went out to Nukes. I think I would have been 18 when I first went, and I flew over with my friend Jack Berry, who's no longer a tennis coach. He's now a pharmacist. Oh no, wow. He's an NHS hero. He's working in a pharmacy, but he's training to be like a associate physician, which is kind of like a GP or physician associate, one of them. He'll watch it and correct me. And anyways, so the first morning we arrived, Jack just wanted to go and have a good time for a summer, and I was wanting to get every opportunity to be on a tennis court and learn from the tennis coaches there. So I decided to get up the next morning. I think I've been flying for we went all around the world to get there, so it must have been 26 hours of travel time. We flew from England to Germany. We were in the airport in Germany for 3 hours, flew back over England to fly to somewhere in America, and then we flew to Texas. And yeah, it was mad crazy flight. And, got to the accommodation that night. It must have been 11 o'clock, and I think I finally got to sleep at midnight. And I got told by one of the people in the room that I was staying that the next morning there was a 6 a.m. run for anyone that wanted to go. So I thought, all right, you know what, I'll do this. You only live once, don't you? So I got up, did the 6 a.m. run. I was very tired, and I walk up there, and there's about 20 people there, and I'm just kind of in a world of my own, trying to wake myself up. And then there's these two crazy guys stood there at 6 a.m. with more energy than I've ever had at any point in my life. One of them was Adrian, the guy that you were speaking about before, Teriyaki Ninja Warrior. And the other guy was Mitch, who's also
Charles
Mitchell Joyce, who's also an awesome tennis coach. And the first thing, and I actually remember this speech because it was a bit of a perspective switch for me, was they pretty much said, right, everybody here is tired. We've all got up at 6 a.m., but you've all done something brilliant by getting up at this time in the morning. And even though when you're on the tennis court, you feel like you're all playing an individual sport and everybody's playing for themselves, you want to feel like you're part of a team and you are all a team together here. So when you run this morning, we're going to run 3 miles. I don't want you to run in silence and not speak to anyone. As you run, find somebody new, go over to them, introduce yourself, tell them hi, give them a little fist pump or a high five or whatever, and then go and do it to somebody else. And all the way through the run, we were all like vibing with each other, and we were all like shouting positive, reinforcement, shouting like, I can't think of the exact word. We were shouting hype word, if you will. And it was just a good team feel. And even though I was like exhausted, I just got off the plane, like not much sleep at all. I felt so energized because it was such like a good team fun feel.
Yeah.
So
that's epic.
Yeah.
So you would say it was quite world class. Would
quite world class. Top shelf.
Rock solid.
Rock solid. Definitely rock solid, yeah. So it was a
performance, all that stuff.
Yeah. As I previously mentioned, you and I did meet back in 2011. And that was when we became good mates. And it was because of the tennis tournament in Scotland, the West Highland Championships. We got the train up from Liverpool, which I think is like a 200-mile train journey, or I don't know how many miles exactly it's.
I think maybe more, but it's not far.
Okay, more like 300 or
maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You've never measured the distance, no?
Not personally, no.
Okay. Well, anyways, it's a good train journey, and we went up there. There was a gang of tennis players from the Newcombe Tennis Ranch that went there. There was 16 of them and 2 tennis coaches, Esther and Chris Jocks. And there was players that travelled from all across Scotland. Alan MacDonald, who you referenced before, who's Jamie Murray's coach, he was there. He won it that year as well. And it was just a really good tournament to see loads of players coming from pretty much all over the place to go and play and compete in one place. And the reason I really liked the tournament is even though there was people traveling from pretty much everywhere, and also there was a massive disparity in level. If you were to put, myself and Alan MacDonald on the courts next to each other, there would be a big gap in level. Everyone was just getting along and everyone was vibing and having a good time. And when we weren't on the tennis court, we were, playing ping pong or going on the rock climbing wall, or and I think there was also activities and events because a lot of people have traveled.
Yeah, I know we used to do quiz nights, and we had like a barbecue night. And I always remember it was funny, the kids from Nooks were like, "Oh, barbecue! So we're gonna have ribs, we're gonna have steak," and it's like, no, we're having burgers. Like barbecue in Britain is a burger and maybe some sausages, like
hot dog as well. Yeah,
that's it. Hot dog, some coleslaw if you like coleslaw. I mean,
yeah,
that's it. But no, it was great. It was a lot of fun. And also, you shouldn't put yourself down. Yourself and Alan MacDonald side by side.
Oh no, it was more of a slant to Alan MacDonald than myself. I meant the gap difference was big the other direction. Like I didn't want to embarrass.
Okay, of course.
Yeah. Speaking of having fun in tennis, anyways, Gregor, you went to Stirling University, and you were part. You were part of the tennis team there. I know Stirling's got a massive tennis program going on. They've got all sorts of world-class players playing there, and also you went there as well. And
thanks.
I'm joking. You're a great player. And you guys were part of the Barmy Army GB Davis Cup.
Yeah.
Cheering squad. Is that right?
Supporters team. Yeah. So it's like the Barmy Army supporters team for the Davis Cup, and unfortunately, I I say unfortunately. I was in America at the time when Britain won the Davis Cup, when Andy Murray played that lob over David Goffin's head.
Yeah.
Glorious. But the Barmy Army was there at the time. And I then went to university that summer or that autumn. And it was actually my first week. And I went to the Freshers Fair and signed up my name for the tennis team. And then one of the guys behind said, "Oh, you should sign up and come along to come to the meeting for the Barmy Army tonight." And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." If I'm being honest, I didn't know what it was. But I turned up, and I was the only fresher to turn up that day. No, myself and one other guy. We turned up, and it was like, so the first tie for the GB Argentina match is on Saturday. So everyone in the meeting can come along. I was like, perfect. So what do I have to do? He's like, just buy your train ticket through to Glasgow, and you'll be there all Saturday, and you'll get to see the tennis. So, and maybe it wasn't a Saturday, maybe it was a Friday. I don't know what day it was, but it doesn't matter. And I got to see and be a part of the Andy Murray, Juan Del Potro match. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. And I feel like yeah, and when that was on the TV, I remember you shot me a message and you were like, "Oh, I'm going to the GB Davis Cup match," and it was a brilliant match. The Andy Murray Del Potro one. I think Del Potro won that, did he? Was that right?
He did. It was. I think it was Andy Murray's longest match ever. It was like 5 hours and I don't know 17 minutes or something.
Yeah, but I just remember you. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, carry on.
Oh yeah. No, I was just going to say. I remember you telling me that you were going to be there in the audience, and I thought, whenever your friends are in the audience on TV, I was watching on the TV, but trying to not watch the match as such, but look out for Gregor in the stands. Everybody's wearing the same thing, so it's like playing Where's Wally.
Yeah, well, some of the outfits that we had, definitely it was a Where's Wally moment. I mean, like, you're obviously wanting to be seen by the cameras. We're making the most amount of noise. And it's funny because the next tie I went to, I was very lucky enough to go to the Canada tie in Ottawa. Oh,
you flew to Canada?
Yeah.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah, February of 2017. We all got to Glasgow Airport. We're all just kind of kitted out with what we've got, and then we fly over to Ottawa. Actually, we flew to Toronto and then got a train to Ottawa. Had a great time in Toronto, but we got to Ottawa, and it's a crazy experience. I don't know, have you been to Canada?
No, I've not. I really want to go. It's on the bucket list.
Glorious place, but the weird thing was the stadium was maybe, I think it was 2 miles from where we were staying in what was a jail hostel, a renovated jail into a hostel, and you could rent skates, like ice skates, to get from the hostel, and the canal was frozen, so we were ice skating the canal all the way around to the stadium. Really weird.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And did you stay in bedrooms or did you stay in cells?
It was cells.
Really?
Yes, cells, 100%. Bunk beds in cells. Really strange experience, but it was a really cool experience at the same time.
Nice.
But anyway, going back to the tennis, we got over and we were there, and on the first day, we were right behind the GB team, and we've got quite a good connection with them. Obviously, we saw them in Argentina for the Argentina tie, and they had known us for quite a while before that. And anyway, we've kind of got jokes going with them and all that stuff. And then we're making all the noise, banging on the drum, doing chants and all this. And all the Canadians are like, "What the heck is this?" Like, that's not the Canadian way. They're really polite people. And we're just there making loads of noise. So anyway, the first day goes by, had a great time. The next day, they've been making any noise at all. The next day, they come in with a full band. They've got trumpets. They've got like banging the cymbals together. They're just making a racket. And it was a fantastic time until, well, right at the very end. What wasn't fantastic was, I don't know if you saw it yourself, when Shapo, young Denis Shapovalov, hit the umpire in the eye. I was at that match, not very far from it as well. So it was quite quite a noise. If you can imagine getting hit in the face with a tennis ball.
Yeah,
not the best experience. But
that was, just for the listeners, that was one of them, almost similar to the Novak Djokovic moments from US Open, where I think in like rage he just decided to smack the tennis ball, and he hit the umpire, did he?
So if we're going to kind of compare it, Djokovic's one, he did hit it, but not with his full power into it.
Yeah.
This one, what Dennis did, he absolutely obliterated the ball.
Oh my
He
God.
was trying to go for the roof, like he was trying to go out of the building, and it hit the umpire right in the eye. It was, it's quite bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. Jeez.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was a really cool thing to be a part of for that Canada tie. After it, we got the win, and we were invited to eat dinner with the team at their hotel. And
did you chat to any of them? Did you chat to any of the guys?
Yeah, I was chatting to Jamie and Dom Inglot. They had their kind of own table. And then they came over and they were like, "Oh, we're leaving in the morning, so we'll catch you guys." And then I was chatting to Kyle Edmund and Dan Evans and Cameron Norrie at the time. He was there. He wasn't playing, but he was kind of coming up. So yeah, I mean, they're just genuine kind of nice guys.
Yeah.
So it was a good experience.
A little bit of an off the cuff question then. So obviously our best British player, maybe he's on the, well, not maybe, he is on kind of the downward slope right now, which is Andy Murray, because of injuries and whatnot. Who do you think is our second best after Andy Murray? Who's our next big hope?
I mean, right now it's Dan Evans.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually ranked number 1, I believe. I think Kyle. I think Kyle's got the game. His forehand is just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
He just, unfortunately, at times he's just not been able to put it together. And he does have the weapons to take out the top players in the world. Just consistently hasn't managed to get there throughout the years.
I'm with you. I think in terms of like actual firepower and weapons, Kyle Edmund has to be our second best. Like you mentioned the forehand. His forehand, he can go heavy topspin, but he can also really flatten it out and hit it like a bullet, can't he? And his serve, he's got a massive first serve. He's got a bomb. But having said that, Dan Evans,
he's quite a big guy.
Yeah, he's built, isn't he? He's built. He definitely does his push-ups at home. Definitely jumps on the pull-up bar as well. But Dan Evans, yeah. Well, do you know what? I've been during lockdown. I've been trying to do it every day. So I call it paying my taxes. And every time I walk past the bar, I've got to bash out a set of 5 pull-ups and 10 push-ups. So yeah, it's been keeping me in good shape. But back to the professionals. Dan Evans, even though he doesn't have the weapons, I do really enjoy the way he plays. Like, it's fun to watch. He's got a beautiful backhand slice, and I love the way he comes to the net. Like, it's just fun to watch somebody play an all-court game.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's got such an all-round game. Is there a bit of lag just now?
I think there might have been, but I think we're good.
Okay. I'll re-answer, I guess, that part.
Yeah. So, go on.
No, so Dan Evans, I mean, he's got an all-round game. It's quite fun to see on the TV and fun to see in person. Because what was that? A couple of years ago, there was that miraculous backhand spinning shot. Did you ever see it? Mm-hmm. It was like shot of the year in 2019.
Was it off a lob?
I don't know what it was off, to be honest. I think he was running back on something. No, it was a serve, I think. I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter. But he plays something. He brings something to the game. And it was kind of out there because he'd had a bit of time off the game as well. But no, I think we've got some good chances in the future with British tennis,
Yeah. Especially with you and I coaching in the country, There's always hope. Right, Gregor. I think it would be fun if we did some quick fire questions to finish with.
Okay.
Question number 1, right. Favorite topping on a pizza?
Favorite topping on a pizza? it's got to go with what I want. Pepperoni pizza.
Classic.
That being said, I do like some barbecue, maybe chicken barbecue type pizza as well. So I'm happy with either, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember them Goodfellas pizzas we used to have?
Yes,
When you came,
sweet and sour sauce, sweet chili sauce.
Sweet chili dip on the side.
There you go.
Yeah, when you came to stay with us. I think when you stayed at mine, all we did was play tennis and eat them pizzas, like the pepperoni pizzas with the sweet chili dip. And we also watched Take Me Out.
We watched Take Me Out, but we also got to see Portugal win the Euros.
Oh, yes. Wait, that was 2018.
2016.
2016, was it?
It was.
Oh my God, that has flown, hasn't it?
It has.
Right, question number 2. Actually, I need to say my favorite pizza topping. I like pepperoni as well. You can't go wrong with pepperoni and the sweet chili dip. Right, question number 2. You're about to play in the Wimbledon final. You're playing against Roger Federer, and it's 5 minutes until you walk out onto the tennis court. So you want to get yourself psyched and pumped. What is your go-to hype song?
Go-to hype song. Well, what we used to do at uni when I was at Stirling, we would get hyped up to a few particular songs, completely random. "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence.
Never heard it in my life.
God, it's so out there. I mean, it's completely different to what I would usually listen to, but for some reason, we would get massively hyped up to this. Or Hell Yeah, and it's the song that is with, there's a program, Blue Mountain State.
Okay.
We would listen to that, and it's 2 songs, and they're just so random, but it was hyped to the maximum. And you just come out on court, you're just ready to go.
It was like a light switch moment. You kind of relax. Once you hear that song, you're in the zone, ready to go.
That was it.
Nice. My hype up song was pretty cliche, but "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. You got to go back to the roots, back to when I was on the streets, and it takes me back to the days. I'm joking. I was never on the streets, but it definitely gets me in the zone. Right, final question, Gregor, before we finish. So, when we are allowed to travel again, where is the first place that you are going to visit?
Oh, well, after coming and visiting yourself, of course. I'm thinking Australia. Australia is a great place. I've always wanted to go. Got some really good close friends over there.
Boys.
And just the sun. It just attracted me into that kind of place. What about you?
I mean, I would be well up for that. Coming along to here, then flying out to Australia and hanging out with our mates from Get Set Tennis and Nelson, and hopefully some of our mates can go. But before I go to Australia, I said it last week on the podcast, Texas. I'm going back to Texas. I can't wait to go back. It's been, well, for you came back last March from Nukes,
yes.
Right? I was last there in summer of 2019. So it's coming up on 2 years now, and that's far too long. So I'm going to get back out there and see all my friends and get on the tennis court.
I won't be far behind you. I won't be far behind you at all.
You'll be coming as well?
I'll be there ASAP. Right after.
Good times. Well, Gregor, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Keep going.
Cheers, bro. I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.